You ever have one of those moments where your brain just freezes? Not because something's confusing. No, I mean, it's like your entire system crashes. Like your eyes are seeing something, but your brain refuses to process it. That was me. Standing in my own damn driveway, grocery bag in one hand, car keys in the other, watching my wife kiss another man on our front porch. Not just a little kiss. Not friendly. Not, "Thanks for the open house today, see you Monday." I'm talking slow. Intimate. The kind of kiss that only happens when someone knows where their hands are going next. And it wasn't in a dark parking lot. Or behind closed doors. It was right there. In the open. In front of our house. The house we built together. The one with the swing I put up for our twins. And the potted plants she insisted would brighten the entryway. You know what the weirdest part was? I didn't drop the bag. I didn't scream. I just stood there. Like my soul stepped out of my body and said, "You handle this, I'll be in the truck." Martha didn't see me at first. Her back was to me. She had her hand on his chest, real casual, like this was something they did every week. He leaned in, kissed her again. She smiled. That soft kind of smile you give someone you actually want to see. Not the smile she'd been giving me lately, the tight-lipped, "Don't forget to take the trash out" kind. Then she turned. And froze. Her eyes met mine, and I swear, in that 1 second, I saw it all. Shock. Panic. Guilt. Like she wasn't expecting me to be home at 2:15 on a Wednesday. Guess what? Neither was I. I'd finished a client call early and figured I'd surprise her with her favorite iced coffee and some snacks for the kids. Thought we'd sit outside for a few minutes before the twins got home. Maybe talk about that weekend trip she said we should take but never booked. Instead, I got this. She let go of him like he was radioactive. Took a step back. "Jake," she said. Just my name. No explanation. "No, this isn't what it looks like." Just that. And the guy? He didn't even flinch. Just stood there, smirking like he owned the damn place. Nice suit. Tan. Younger than me, maybe mid-30s. No wedding ring. Looked like the kind of guy who says, networking drinks and means scouting wives. I looked at him, then at her. And without a word, I turned around, got back in my truck, and drove off. Didn't know where I was going. Didn't even realize I still had the groceries until one of the sodas rolled off the seat and hit my leg. I pulled into a random parking lot next to a gas station, just sat there with the engine running. That kiss kept replaying in my head. Like a movie I didn't ask to see. Like a movie that didn't end. 17 years. 4 kids. Mortgage. Vacations. Hospital runs. Birthdays. Inside jokes. Silent fights. Holding hands under tables. All of it, now had this new flavor to it. Rotten. And here's the part that stings the most. I wasn't even surprised. Not really. There had been signs. Of course there were signs. But you know how it is. You don't want to be the guy who accuses his wife of cheating just because she puts on lipstick to go check comps. So you look the other way. You tell yourself stories. She's tired. She's stressed. She's just focused on work. But deep down, you know. You always know. And that afternoon, I knew for sure. No more guessing. No more stories. Just me, the truck, and a bottle of Coke rolling around on the floor like it had more direction than I did. I didn't call her. Didn't text. Didn't go home until dinner time. And when I did, she was there. Acting like it hadn't happened. Like I hadn't just watched her make out with another man on our porch. She asked if I wanted to eat. I said no. Then went upstairs, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed we shared. And I realized this wasn't just a bad day. This was the beginning of the end. I just didn't know how ugly it was gonna get yet. But I was about to find out. You know what the worst part is? It didn't always feel like this. I mean, if someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd be sitting alone in a house where my wife cheated on me, in front of the damn mailbox, no less, I would have laughed in their face. Because we were solid. At least, I thought we were. Martha and I met at a housewarming party. I was 24. She was 22. She had this red sundress on, hair up in a messy twist, glass of wine in one hand, paper plate of guacamole in the other. She looked like chaos and calm at the same time. Somehow, that made sense to me. We started talking about music, of all things. I was into old-school blues, she liked jazz. Next thing I knew, we were walking around the block still talking. We ended up sitting on the curb for 2 hours after the party ended. Just talking. That was Martha. When she was there, she was there. Sharp, funny, eyes that looked like they could see through your crap and still care anyway. We got married 5 years later. Small church. Cheap food. Big smiles. Built everything from the ground up. Bought a little place outside Asheville. Fixer-upper. I worked tech support back then, answering the same 5 questions every day. Martha got her real estate license and took off like a rocket. She could sell sand in the desert if she smiled right. Then came the kids. 4 of them. Yeah, 4. Eli, our oldest, 15 now, all quiet and serious like me. Then Nora, 13, full of fire. And the twins, Sam and Lucy, 9, chaotic energy in 2 human bodies. Those early years were hard. Money was tight, time was tighter. We barely slept, barely had time to talk some days. But we were in it together. Always together. I remember one night, middle of winter, twins were sick, Eli had just thrown up on the carpet, and Nora was crying because she forgot to study for a spelling test. And there we were, 3 a.m., in the hallway, surrounded by disaster, and Martha started laughing. I think this is peak adulthood, she said. We both cracked up. Right there in the chaos. That's what we had, not some fairy tale, but real, lived in love. Messy, exhausted, honest. But somewhere along the way, that started to fade. Not in one big moment. No explosion. No screaming match. Just erosion. At first, it was little things. We stopped talking just to talk. Every conversation was logistics, groceries, practice schedules, bills. She stopped texting during the day like she used to. I'd bring home her favorite snacks. She wouldn't even notice. I figured maybe we were just in a rut. Married with kids phase. Happens to everybody, right? And let me be clear, I didn't blame her. Not then. I looked at myself first. Maybe I wasn't as present. Maybe I was too focused on work. I'd taken a remote job by then. Software engineer, decent pay, but long hours. Zoom fatigue, deadlines, eyes fried from staring at code all day. I wasn't dressing up anymore. Wasn't flirting with her like I used to. Sometimes I'd go 3 days without shaving. She used to tease me about that. Then she stopped noticing. Or maybe I stopped noticing her noticing. I don't know. We still had dinners. Still watched shows together. Still made time for us every now and then. But it felt like we were playing a couple on TV. Reading from the script. Smiling on cue. And then she got busy. Work picked up. She was out more. Evening showings. Weekend meetings. I was proud of her. She was doing great. Crushing her numbers. Clients loved her. But I couldn't help noticing how good she looked when she left for work. Makeup sharp. Heels on point. new dresses, perfume I hadn't smelled in months. She'd laugh when I said something. "Sells better when you look the part," she said. And yeah, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was still coming home, still helping with the kids, still sharing a bed with me, even if half the time we were both too tired to do anything but scroll through our phones and pass out. But something shifted. I started waking up to her already dressed. Started noticing how often she was just stepping out for a bit. Started hearing her laugh through her phone in the other room, then silence when I walked in. I'm not proud of this, but I started checking her calendar, looking at her texts when she left her phone on the kitchen counter. Nothing obvious. Nothing screaming affair. Just a pattern. Gaps in time. Places she said she'd been, but no receipts. Messages that were just a little too vague. One day, she left her email open on the family laptop. I wasn't looking for anything. I swear I wasn't. But then I saw it. A message from some guy named Brian. Subject line just said, "Friday." That's all. Just Friday. And my stomach turned. Still, I didn't say a word. Because if I said something, then it would be real. And I wasn't ready for real. So I kept pretending. Kept brushing off the signs. Kept trying harder, buying flowers, planning date nights, asking her how she was, what she needed. She always said the same thing. "I'm just tired, Jake. That's all." Yeah. Me too, Martha. Me too. Looking back now, it's obvious. So damn obvious. But when you're living it in real time, you'll lie to yourself harder than anyone ever could. You'll twist logic like a balloon animal, until it sort of resembles something you can live with. That's exactly what I did. At first, it was just her phone. Used to be always on vibrate. Sure, we had kids, we respected each other's sleep, no big deal. But now, it was face down. Always. No matter where she was. Kitchen, bedroom, even in the bathroom while brushing her teeth. Once I joked, "What, got state secrets in there?" She gave this weird half-laugh and said, "Clients can be annoying." Huh? Then there was the time I asked her to Google something while we were watching a show. She opened Safari and instantly closed it. Like, so fast it actually made me blink. "Sorry," she said. "Too many tabs. I'll use yours." I didn't press. Should've. But I didn't. And don't even get me started on the clothes. Now listen, I'm not one of those insecure types who freaks out when his wife puts on lipstick. Hell, I liked that she was dressing up again. New blouses, tighter skirts, heels I hadn't seen in years. But it was when she wore them that got to me. Like, Tuesday night, client showing at 8:15 p.m. Full face of makeup, that black dress with the slit up the side, and her hair curled. "Isn't that a bit much for a showing?" I asked once, half teasing. She smirked. "First impressions matter, Jake. You know that." Yeah. But whose impression were you trying to leave? Still, I let it go. She was making good money. I was proud of her hustle. If she wanted to play the part of hotshot realtor in heels, who was I to get in the way? But then the patterns got weirder. Meetings on Sundays. Client calls that had her stepping outside, even in the rain. Appointments that ran long. Really long. Once, I called her during one of those late showings. She didn't answer. Then I texted, "Everything okay?" No reply. An hour later, she walked in all smiles. I asked, "Show go well?" She said, "What show?" I just stared at her. And she froze. For half a second. Then smiled like nothing happened. "Oh, right. That one got canceled, sorry. I was catching up with another client nearby." That was the first time I felt something snap in my chest. Tiny. But real. Still, I didn't push it. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You want to believe them. Even when you shouldn't. Even when your gut's already screaming otherwise. And you know the worst part? The kids noticed too. They didn't say it out loud, not at first. But kids pick up on things. Eli started asking me if Mom was coming to dinner. Lucy kept checking the window around bedtime. Nora, bless her, straight up asked once, "Why does Mom go out so much at night?" I said something generic. "She's working hard." Sam didn't say anything, but he'd started drawing a lot of pictures. Most of them were of our house. Stick figures standing at windows. One of them always alone. It broke me. At some point, Martha stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning. Stopped checking in during the day. Even when she was home, it felt like she wasn't. I tried to talk to her, really talk. "Are we okay?" I asked one night. "Because I feel like I'm losing you." She blinked. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know," I said. "You're always gone. You don't really talk anymore. You feel far away." She sighed, not sad, not sympathetic, just tired. "I'm under a lot of pressure, Jake. Can we not do this tonight?" I nodded, and we didn't talk about it again. But the space between us kept growing, like we were both living in the same house, but on different planets. I started staying up later, working in my home office. Partly because I had deadlines. Mostly because I couldn't stand lying in that bed next to someone who felt like a stranger. And through it all, the doubts, the silence, the missing hours, I still told myself it was just a phase. Just stress. Just life. Just temporary. But deep down, I think I already knew. I just didn't want to admit it. Because the moment you admit it, you can't unadmit it. And the life you thought you had starts to crack. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat either. I think I sat in the same chair for 3 hours just staring at nothing. Martha didn't come after me. She didn't call. Didn't text. She knew I saw. And I guess she knew, just like I did, that there was no talking your way out of that. Next morning, I woke up on the couch with a crick in my neck and a pit in my stomach. The kind that doesn't go away with food or coffee. The kind that tells you something's permanently broken. She came downstairs around 9. I heard her slippers before I saw her. She didn't say anything at first, just hovered near the kitchen like a kid waiting for punishment. I looked at her. She looked small. Hair messy. Eyes puffy. No makeup. Just a hoodie and pajama pants. The woman I saw kissing the guy yesterday? She wasn't here. This one looked scared. I didn't say a word. Just watched her. Finally she spoke. "Jake, can we talk?" I nodded once. Didn't trust myself to say more. We sat at the kitchen table. The one with the scratches from when Sam tried to carve a T into it with a fork. The one we'd had since year 2 of our marriage. It suddenly felt too big for just the two of us. She took a deep breath, looked me in the eye, and said, "That man you saw yesterday, his name's Ryan. He's a realtor at another firm. I met him through a client. We've been seeing each other for a few months. Just like that. No build-up. No soft entry. Just the blade. Seeing each other," I repeated. She nodded. Her hands were shaking. I leaned back in the chair, stared at the ceiling. Is that supposed to make it sound better than what it really is? I don't know what to say. She whispered. I didn't either. My mind was blank, but also racing. Like everything was trying to happen at once. All the signs, all the gut feelings, the lies, the weird nights, the laughter I overheard through the door. And now I had a name for it. Ryan, I wanted to scream. Throw something. Smash a glass. Flip the damn table. But all I did was sit there. Because when the betrayal hits that deep, it doesn't feel like anger first. It feels like gravity. Like everything inside you just got heavier. You said a few months? I asked, voice flat. She nodded. It started in spring. Spring. So about 6 months back. 6 months of lies. Of climbing into bed next to me, pretending. Of acting like everything was fine while living a whole second life. I tried to picture it. Them. Together. And I felt sick. She kept talking quietly. It wasn't supposed to happen. I felt lonely, Jake. I know that sounds like an excuse, but I cut her off. Don't. Please. She shut up. Good. I didn't need to hear the play-by-play. I didn't want to know what they did, or where, or how it made her feel. I already saw enough to last me a lifetime. So I got up, walked to the fridge, opened it, stared inside, closed it again. I don't know why. Just needed to move. She sat still at the table like she was waiting for a verdict. I finally turned to her. You could have told me. I said. You could have said you weren't happy. That you were done. That you wanted out. You didn't have to do this. Tears started falling down her face. I know, she said. I know, Jake, I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. Because what was I supposed to say? Thanks for the apology. That doesn't really cover it when someone slices open your chest and crushes your heart with their bare hands. Instead, I walked past her. Up the stairs. Into the bedroom. Packed a duffel bag with 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, some boxers and socks. On the way out, she called after me. Where are you going? Don't know, I said. And I meant it. I drove around for hours. Slept in the truck that night in a Walmart parking lot. It was too late to call anyone. Too early to process anything. Too painful to go anywhere familiar. I wasn't ready to tell my kids. Wasn't ready to tell my brother. Hell, I wasn't even ready to admit it to myself. All I knew was something had ended. And I didn't know what to do with the pieces. It's a special kind of pain when you start measuring yourself against the man your wife chose instead of you. I don't recommend it. But I did it anyway. After I left the house, I spent a couple nights crashing on my buddy Rick's couch. He offered the guest room, but I couldn't sleep in a bed. Not then. Didn't feel right. Rick's the kind of guy who doesn't ask a lot of questions unless you invite them. But he knew. One look at my face and he knew. Was it another guy? He asked. I nodded. He cracked a beer, slid it my way, and said nothing else for the next hour. Sometimes that's all you need, just someone to sit in silence with. But the silence in my head didn't stop. It was full of him. Ryan. I didn't even know his last name yet, but I couldn't stop imagining him. What did he have that I didn't? Was he stronger? Funnier? Better in ways I didn't want to think about. Eventually, curiosity won. I did what any man in pain does when he wants to torture himself. I Googled the bastard. Didn't take long. Real estate games public enough. Found his photo on his firm's website. There he was. Ryan Delgado. Age 35. Perfect teeth. Navy suit. Cocky grin. One of those guys who always stands like he's about to pitch you something. His profile said he was a top closer with a passion for connecting people with their dream homes. Barf. No mention of how he connects with married women. Guess that part didn't make the brochure. I stared at his photo for a long time. Shorter than me. Slimmer. But polished. That confident. I run marathons and no good wine. Look. And single. Of course, I hated him. But what stung more was the thought that maybe she didn't cheat down. Maybe she looked at me, working from home, unshaven, sweatpants, making boxed mac and cheese for the kids, and saw a man who'd let himself go. And then she looked at him, young, driven, probably called her stunning, and laughed at all her jokes and decided, yeah, that's what I want now. That's what chewed me up. Not just the betrayal, but how easily I seemed replaceable. Like she'd already been rewriting the story of our life in her head, turning me into the tired, boring husband who never changed, while casting Ryan as some kind of romantic escape. And you know what really messed me up? I started to believe it. I'd look in the mirror and think, maybe I really did stop being enough. Started asking myself all the dumb questions. Was I attentive enough? Was I supportive enough? Did I compliment her enough? And then came the darker stuff. Was I ever good enough to begin with? That's how far it can take you. One betrayal. It can make you doubt your whole identity. Even the way Martha spoke to me started to echo differently. All those passive-aggressive comments she made over the last year? Maybe you should get out of the house more. Why don't you dress up once in a while? You used to be more fun. At the time, I brushed them off. Thought it was just stress. Maybe even fair criticism. Now, I heard the subtext loud and clear. I wasn't a husband anymore. I was an inconvenience. A name on the lease. I tried calling her once that week. Don't ask me why. Maybe part of me wanted to see if she'd say something. Anything that felt real. She picked up. Her voice was cold. I'm with a client, she said. Are you? I asked. Silence. Then she said, Jake, I can't do this right now. Click. That was it. No, I'm sorry. No, let's talk later. No, how are the kids holding up? Just done. Shut. Like I was a door she closed and locked behind her. And in that moment, I realized something I hadn't fully accepted yet. She wasn't sorry. Not really. She might have felt guilt, sure. But regret? That takes love. That takes missing what you had. And Martha, she was already gone. Not just from the house. From us. From me. I could live with losing her. But what I couldn't live with, not yet, was the fact that I'd let myself become someone she could walk away from without hesitation. That broke me more than any affair ever could. You think you're ready for the hard part once the truth is out. You think nothing can hit harder than watching the woman you love kiss another man. But then you walk into your own living room, and your kids look at you like you're the bad guy. And suddenly, the punch to the gut feels like just the warm-up. It was about a week after I found out. I'd been staying with Rick, mostly living out of a duffel bag and some kind of fast food. The house still had all my stuff, but none of it felt like mine anymore. I finally texted Martha. I need to talk to the kids. Alone. She didn't respond. But that Friday, she told me they'd be home after school. So I showed up. I don't know what I expected. Hugs? Tears? Anger, maybe. But my anger. Mine to explain. Instead, I walked through the front door, and it was icy. Eli, our oldest, was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, eyes sharp. He didn't say anything, just looked at me like I was a stranger. Nora didn't even come down from her room. Sam and Lucy, the twins, peeked at me from the hallway, their faces confused and scared. Sam looked like he was about to cry. I knelt down and said, Hey guys, it's me. I missed you. They didn't move. Didn't smile. Just stood there like they weren't sure if they were allowed to come closer. That's when I knew Martha had gotten to them first. And why wouldn't she? She had home court advantage. She was there every morning, every night. And I was the dad who suddenly disappeared. who packed a bag and vanished. She could have told him anything. Maybe she said we were going through something. Maybe she cried in front of him, said I was angry, and didn't want to live with him anymore. Maybe she left out the part where she had a boyfriend on the side. I tried to explain. Tried to say, "Hey, listen, things between your mom and me got complicated. But I love you. Nothing will change that." Eli finally spoke. "Why did you leave, Dad? Why didn't you stay and fix it?" His voice cracked, but his eyes didn't. And right then I realized, to him, I was the one who walked out. I wanted to scream. Wanted to shout, "Ask your mother what she did." But I didn't. Because the second you turn your kids into pawns in your war, you've already lost. So I swallowed it. "I didn't want to make things worse," I said. "I thought giving your mom space would help." He shook his head like he'd heard that line before. Probably had. From her. The twins finally came over and hugged me, but they were quiet. Sam clung to my sleeve like he wasn't sure I'd stay. Lucy whispered, "Why are you mad at Mom?" And that broke me. Because I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my kids to remember who I was. The man who taught them how to ride a bike. Who made pancakes every Sunday. Who stayed up with them when they were sick. Who watched cartoons he hated just to make them laugh. And now I was just the guy who left. I stayed for dinner. Tried to keep it light. Asked them about school, sports, Nora's science project. Got a few mumbled answers and a lot of silence. Martha mostly stayed in the kitchen, watching us from a distance. She didn't say much either. Didn't need to. Her silence was loud enough. After dinner, I helped the twins get ready for bed. Read a chapter from the same old book we used to read. Sam leaned on my arm. Lucy fell asleep mid-sentence. That night, after they were in bed, I stood in the hallway. In that house I helped build, and I felt like a stranger in a museum of my own life. I walked back downstairs. Eli was on the couch, scrolling his phone. I sat next to him. "Listen, buddy. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm still your dad. That hasn't changed." He didn't look at me. "I know," he said. "But it's different now." Yeah, it was. I left that night with a lump in my throat the size of a fist. And I made a decision. Not out of spite. Not out of weakness. But because I love my kids more than I love being right. I wouldn't drag them through the mud. I wouldn't turn our house into a battlefield. So I called a lawyer the next morning. Told him I was moving forward with separation. Because staying might have kept me in the house. But it would have shattered whatever was left of it. Funny thing about control. People don't realize they've lost it until the bottom's already dropped out. That's what happened with Martha. It was maybe 3 weeks after I filed. I hadn't moved far. Just a rental about 15 minutes away. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, small porch, creaky floors. But it was mine. Quiet. No walking on eggshells. No pretending. The kids visited once or twice. Short, awkward visits. Eli stayed cold. Nora was halfway polite. The twins just wanted cartoons and cereal. I took what I could get. I didn't hear much from Martha during that time. The occasional text about the kids' schedules. One-word updates. Nothing personal. Nothing that hinted at remorse. Until one Sunday night. She showed up at my door. Unannounced. I was folding laundry, or trying to, and when I opened the door, there she was. Hoodie jeans, hair pulled back. No makeup, no performance. Just her. Eyes puffy. Hands shaking. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. Not because I wanted to. More because I was curious what she had left to say. She sat on the edge of the couch like it might bite her. I stayed standing. For a while, She just looked around. At the boxes still half unpacked. At the clean dishes stacked by the sink. At the picture of the kids on the bookshelf. Then she said it. I made a mistake. I didn't answer. Let her sit in it. She looked up. Jake, I ended it. With him. 2 weeks ago. Congratulations, I said flatly. You want a cake? She flinched. I deserve that. Damn right she did. She went on. He said he wasn't ready for something serious. Didn't want the baggage. Didn't want the drama. Said I needed to figure myself out. I almost laughed. So the prince rode off, huh? Now that the thrill was gone, so was he. Of course he bailed. She kept going. I thought I wanted something different. I thought I was missing out. I thought you and we were done. She looked up at me with those eyes again. The ones I used to fall into without question. But Jake, you were never the problem. I was just empty. And instead of talking to you, I ran. I ruined everything. She started crying then. Like real, messy crying. Not the silent, camera-ready kind. I want to fix this. I want us back. I'll do counseling. I'll quit my job. I'll cut everyone off, sell the damn house, whatever it takes. Just don't give up on me. She reached for my hand. And you know what? A part of me, the old me, wanted to grab it. To believe her. To fall back into that familiar place where we were a team. But that part of me, he didn't live here anymore. I pulled my hand away. You didn't ruin us because you were confused, I said. You ruined us because you made a choice. Over and over again. And now, when the guy ditches you and the kids start asking questions, now you remember I exist? She opened her mouth, but I wasn't done. You didn't just cheat on me. You burned down everything we built. And then you handed me the ashes like I should thank you for the honesty. Silence. Her lip trembled. Jake, I don't know what to do without you. I looked her dead in the eyes. That's not my problem anymore. She broke then. Really broke. Face in her hands, sobbing on my couch like a stranger in her own story. And I just stood there watching. Not because I was cruel, but because I had nothing left to give her. The man she betrayed, the version of me who would have moved heaven and earth to fix things, he was gone. She left him behind the second she chose someone else. Eventually she got up, wiped her eyes, took a breath. I'll keep trying, she said. I didn't stop her. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't watch her leave. I just turned back to my laundry. Folded one shirt after another, like it was any other night. Because for me, it finally was. There's something strange about watching the person who broke you start to fall apart. You'd think it would feel satisfying, like karma pulling its weight for once. But the truth? It felt more like watching a storm wreck a house you used to live in. You don't want to be inside it, but you still remember where everything was. Word got around fast in our town. Small enough that real estate gossip spreads like wildfire. Apparently Martha lost 2 major listings within the first month after our split went public. One of the sellers was a guy I used to mow lawns with back in high school. He told his wife flat out, I'm not trusting my house to someone who can't keep hers together. Harsh? Sure. But I wasn't exactly rushing to defend her either. Then came the fallout inside her office. People stopped recommending her. Leads dried up. The polished, driven agent everyone used to admire started showing up late. Distracted. Slipping. Someone told me she got written up by her broker for missing meetings. Twice. And Ryan, her knight in shining hair gel? Gone without a trace. He switched firms, moved to Charlotte. Didn't even tell her. It was like the moment she had no backup, the whole damn foundation crumbled underneath her. Meanwhile, I got tired of being miserable. The nights alone weren't fun. But after the 1000th microwave dinner and one too many 2 a.m. thoughts, I woke up one morning and just said, enough. I got a gym membership. Just a basic one, no fancy juice bars or towel service. But I showed up. First week, I could barely do a single pull-up without feeling like my arms would fall off. But I went back. Every damn day. Like it was medicine. Then I started cooking again. Not just heating up frozen junk. Real meals. Chicken, rice, grilled vegetables. Meals that didn't come with instructions printed on plastic wrap. I lost some weight. Started sleeping better. People at the gym started nodding at me. One guy, Dave, asked if I wanted a spot for him. Next thing I knew, I had a workout buddy. Then a couple more. Turns out, when you're not carrying the weight of someone else's betrayal every day, you've got space for other things. I started working better too. Focus came back. My code got cleaner. Projects wrapped up faster. My manager even asked if I wanted to lead a new team. I said yes. And somewhere in all of that, I stopped thinking about Martha every hour. Then every day. Eventually, whole weeks went by without her name in my head. I wasn't healed. Not completely. But I was rebuilding. One habit, one meal, one rep at a time. And I wasn't doing it for revenge. Not anymore. I was doing it because I deserved a life that wasn't defined by the worst things someone else did to me. The kids, they noticed. Lucy started texting more. Sam sent me a meme once that actually made me laugh out loud. Something about dad jokes and protein powder. Eli was still distant, but I could tell he was watching. He was quiet, but his eyes weren't as hard. Even Nora, who'd barely spoken to me in months, called one night to ask if I remembered how to make those pancakes I used to do with a chocolate chip shaped like smiley faces. Of course, I said. You coming over for breakfast? She said maybe. But that maybe meant more than anything Martha had said in a year. Funny how life works. Martha lost the version of herself she thought she'd find in someone new. And I finally started finding the version of me I forgot was still in there. Not the husband. Not the fixer. Not the guy who waited for someone to choose him. Just Jake. Just me. And for the first time in a long damn time, that felt like enough. It happened on a Thursday. Nothing special about that day. Just one of those overcast afternoons where the light outside feels kind of gray and sleepy. I was sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, half working, half zoning out, when Lucy came over for her weekly dinner. We'd started a quiet tradition. One night a week, she'd come over, just her. No siblings. Just dad and daughter. Sometimes we cooked together, sometimes we ordered in. She'd sit across from me, talk about school, her favorite teachers, dumb TikTok trends I didn't understand. But that night, she was quiet, pushing her pasta around with her fork. I let the silence sit for a bit. You learn that with kids, don't rush the moment. Let it build. Let them come to it on their own. Then, out of nowhere, she said it. Dad, I know Mom wasn't honest. Just like that. No warning. No build-up. Just truth. I looked up, fork still in midair. She didn't look at me, just stared down at her plate. I know what happened. Sam and I figured it out months ago. Eli too. Nora won't say anything, but she knows. We just didn't know if we were allowed to say it. I put my fork down. My throat got tight. You don't need permission to speak the truth, sweetheart, I said quietly. She looked up. Her eyes were glossy but steady. I used to think you left because you didn't care. But that wasn't it, was it? I shook my head. I didn't want to tear you guys apart, I said. So I left before it turned into screaming matches and slammed doors. I didn't want you growing up in a house full of hate. Lucy nodded slowly. Then she whispered, I wish she'd told us the truth. I reached across the table, took her hand. She was scared. People do stupid things when they're scared. And selfish. She bit her lip. Do you still love her? I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know, but because part of me had already made peace with that answer. I loved her, I said. A lot. For a long time. But love doesn't survive in lies. I can't live in a world where I have to pretend something didn't happen. That's not a life. That's a costume party. Lucy gave a small nod, but her shoulders relaxed a little. Like something inside her had been unclenched for a while and finally let go. And then, in that small voice only a daughter can use, she said, I'm glad you didn't stay just to keep pretending. I think that would have broken you worse. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Not with the way my chest felt like it was going to cave in. She got up, walked around the table, and hugged me from behind. Not a quick hug. A real one. The kind that tells you, I see you now. I get it. After that night, something shifted. Not overnight, not dramatic. But things started moving in the right direction. Sam stopped being so quiet. Started texting me random stuff, movie trailers, jokes, his basketball schedule. Nora came over one Sunday and asked if I could help her with a college essay. Eli, well, he stayed guarded. But one afternoon when he picked up the twins from my place, he said, You look better than last time. That was his version of a hug. I never tried to turn them against Martha. Never said a bad word about her. They'd seen enough. They didn't need my bitterness layered on top. But I did tell them the truth when they asked. Always calmly, always clean. And one thing I kept saying, maybe more to myself than to them, was this. I didn't leave because I stopped caring. I left because I do care. Enough not to fake it. Not to model a lie and call it love. And I think, somewhere deep down, they respected that. Maybe not right away. Maybe not in words. But in their eyes, in their voices, in those little shared moments. I could feel it. We were building something again. Not what we had. But maybe something even stronger. Something real. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and printer paper. I sat in the hallway outside the family division, suit jacket folded over my arm, palms resting on my knees. Across from me, Martha sat scrolling her phone. Legs crossed, hair neatly done. She didn't look at me. I didn't look at her. We'd already said everything. Or more accurately, we'd said all we were going to say. The paperwork was done. Terms were set. No fight. No drama. Just signatures, legal language, and a date on the calendar. Today was that date. When they called our names, we stood up like strangers who just happened to arrive at the same moment. Walked in side by side, but miles apart. The judge ran through the basics. Names, dates, custody arrangements. We agreed to joint custody, though the kids were old enough now to mostly choose where they stayed. We both knew where they leaned, and neither of us fought it. No one cried. No one objected. It was all very quiet. The judge looked up at us, two people with 17 years behind them, and said, I wish you both peace going forward. I nodded. Martha gave a slight smile. And just like that, it was over. We walked out of the courtroom. She turned to say something, then stopped herself. I think she knew it wouldn't change anything. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't need to. I walked down the courthouse steps alone. The sky was clear. That late afternoon kind of golden, when the world feels calm, but not dramatic about it. I got into my truck. Sat for a second with my hands on the steering wheel. No music. No phone. Just air. Just breath. And you know what? It was the first time in years that I breathed all the way in, and it didn't hurt. No weight on my chest. No questions clawing at the back of my mind. No wondering if I should have tried harder, stayed longer, or swallowed more. I had done what I could. I'd fought for my kids. I'd spoken truth. I'd walked away when staying would have meant losing myself. There was no trophy at the end of it. No perfect Hollywood bow. Just peace. And that was enough. I turned the key, started the engine, and drove home. Not to fix something. Not to beg for someone. Not to hold anything together that wasn't meant to last. Just home. Where life keeps going. And I finally get to live it on my terms. That's it.